Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit that subscribe button if you're new so you don't miss any of our great football content this season. All right, it's time for a sit down for about 45 minutes to an hour with Danny Parkins. We have a lot of stuff to address in the media, so let's get right to this. So there was an announcement today, iHeart, Netflix. Netflix is buying all sorts of podcasts. And I was scrolling around right before this. I stay off the phone, mostly prep, show, train ride home, right? I try to be intentional with my phone viewing, but I was dinking around here, so it's off the top of my head here. Barstool, Dave Portnoy, was getting crap. He was being called a sellout, for doing the Netflix deal. And it was really interesting. I know you'll appreciate this. Dave owns a company. iHeart's company. I own a company. Podcasting is audio. I listen to podcasts. I don't watch them. I may try it Netflix. Absolutely. I've done before. I've watched some Joe Rogan before, the visual version, but their podcasts were built for audio. So now YouTube kind of controlled the universe. It is a win for anybody that owns a company and a podcaster if the dominating position is challenged, like when FS1 was created and people criticized it. And I thought, are you idiots? This gives you leverage in negotiation. The people at ESPN ripping it. I'm like, do you want no competition for ESPN? So to me, YouTube dominated in that space. Netflix, a competitor, it's good for people like iHeart and Dave Portnoy and me and the volume eventually. And my example is this. Baseball was on radio only for years, for decades. And then came a TV broadcast and then multiple TV networks vying for it. Baseball wasn't selling out to go to television. It was expanding. First of all, it expanded to TV, and then eventually multiple TV suitors joined in to compete for it. That's not selling out. That is the space expanding and opening up, and that's always good for baseball, podcasting, iHeart, Barstool, Volume, anybody. There's my rant.
I think it's a good rant. The only thing that I think you left out, and this I'll take a position on what you said in a second. Of course it's good for like you and me, like content creators, more people who would want to like bid on our content and like store our content, distribute. Of course it's good for you and me. Of course it's good for the companies, and you own one, and that's amazing and all that. I think I assume the people that were calling him a sellout, and I didn't see that, but I assume that wasn't like media executives. It was like people on Twitter. Like the question is it going to be good for the consumer? Like if you watch these podcasts on video and your preferred method of viewing it is YouTube, and that is free, and you don't pay for Netflix, and now you want to watch Pardon My Take or The Breakfast Club or whatever one of the Middlekauff's podcasts, that's like whatever one you watch, now you have to watch it in a different place exclusively. If you don't subscribe to that place, you are now faced with a choice to either stop watching, listen only, or subscribe. So I think for the consumer, it's like barrier of entry. Like I saw there was some criticism that the NBA Cup final was not on regular TV. And it's like, well, yeah, right. The world is changing. Is it a little frustrating as like, we are content creators, but like, is it a little frustrating that Peacock and Netflix and Fox and CBS and NBC and ESPN, and then these all NFL games are in a million different places, NBA games are in a million different places, and it's like, I got an idea. Let's bundle it all together and call it cable. And it would be a lot, it would be a lot easier for the consumer, but the world has just changed a million times since that bundle, and it's going to continue to. I do watch a lot of YouTube. Like I will watch a clip of like the one that was going viral recently. I thought it was amazing. Will Arnett on Conan O'Brien's podcast talking about grief, and I've obviously dealt with a lot in that space in my recent life, and I was like, it was beautiful. I've watched the clip legitimately probably 8 times and sent it to probably 20 people. I didn't listen to that. I saw a video clip.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So I do consume some of this stuff in video form. And so I'm interested in it from Netflix's standpoint of, do they think it's going to get more subscribers, or do they think it is going to just like get time spent on the app and they want more people on their app so that they click over to their other program? My hunch is it's the latter. Like, I'd be surprised if there were a bunch of new signups because of this.
That's right.
But like, time spent on the app is their play.
That's
here,
right.
correct?
That's my take, is that Netflix is going to these companies, taking another reason to stick. You go for a documentary and you're like, oh, God, I'll stick for another half hour and watch this pod. It has a stick quality to it. You may not go specifically for, whatever the podcast is. I also think there are much larger audio audiences of podcasting than visual audiences of podcasting. That's my take. I've seen my numbers. It's bigger in audio than it is the visual portion of it. I also want to mention Tony Kornheiser got dragged a little bit on the internet. He's an older guy, and he said, I didn't watch the NBA cut because it wasn't on real TV. I thought a better way to say it, and maybe he was doing that to kind of, play kind of like the wrestling, play to the character a little bit. He's an older guy. I'm not doing that. That's funny. What he was really saying is the NBA product is not enough to drive me to streaming, which I think is true. I've said this before. I think ESPN, the incumbent, will do well with a new contract. NBC will hemorrhage money, but they'll find an audience. Streaming, to get me to streaming, Amazon did it with Thursday Night Football. They've done it with documentaries, great series, an occasional fight. But you can't get me to regular season anything outside of football for streaming. That's, I think, the point Tony was making. That kind of runs alongside what he said was, NBA's not getting me to a streaming platform. That is why I believe Amazon, because they have a reservoir of money. I mean, I ordered 3 things on Amazon in the last week. They can hemorrhage money. NBC is going to hemorrhage money, and they're going to have layoffs. They're going to lose $1 billion a year on that thing. ESPN's the incumbent. The incumbent doesn't have to buy 40 new, reporters, directors, producers. They've got their remote unit set up. But I think to that point, Adam Silver's smart to do it. The owners absolutely love it. But I do wonder how many people are going to go to Amazon to watch NBA. I think the number is going to be small.
Yeah, well, and I mean, will we even know the number? There's how do we know? Like there's the it's like all internal data stuff. When they release it and they're like, 26 million people watched that NFL game on Christmas. I'm like, I guess I'll take your word for it. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like it's out there available for everyone or that everyone can verify it. It's like independent data that they keep. And so I think the Amazon thing, and you mentioned it in terms of like they have obviously unlimited money and they can hemorrhage it. It's already happened. And I think it is only going to just keep happening. But like the integration on these Amazon broadcasts to buying things is pretty amazing. And the first time I stumbled on it was like a couple of months ago. I clicked on my remote like accidentally, but it was at a time when on the broadcast it was saying like during like one of the like the picture-in-picture commercials where they're like showing the teams coming on and off the field, so they didn't completely go to a commercial, but then they showed a commercial like in the other box, and it was like, click OK to get an email about this product, and I clicked OK because I was trying to change off of something or mute or whatever I was doing. You can just now buy the thing that's on commercial on the Amazon broadcast. That is clearly the future, and a pretty, it's a pretty amazing thing. Like, so they can pay for the NFL and get 20 million people to be on their app. And the reason they did Black Friday, why do they do Black Friday? It's their biggest day of the year. So
that's right.
So like I'm watching Bears Eagles, and obviously I'm very invested in this game, but also I know that there's all these Black Friday deals, and every time there's a commercial, you have the option to buy it right there through your remote. Or if it's like a more complicated thing, like an insurance plan, It's like, would you like an email with all of these details? And if you just click one button through your Prime account that is linked to it, they'll send it to you. So I totally see the reason why Amazon wants
Yes.
events that get
Yep.
large amounts of people onto their server. Even if that game would get 1 million people on ESPN for an NBA game, if they get 250,000 people for an NBA game on
And
Amazon,
5% buy.
yeah, Amazon is the easiest one to understand, like why they want to get into it, because it's a mall. You can buy literally anything right there on their product. So yeah, the Amazon one I don't question at all.
The Yeah, I mean I know it's not easy for the consumer, but there's certain things like I like the challenge of owning a company. And I mean, did you see Lucas Shaw is somebody I follow on Twitter? He's a media guy.
Okay, yeah.
And Lucas Shaw said for the first time in, was it a decade, cord cutting went the opposite direction. Cable added subscribers again. Doesn't mean the end of cord cutting.
No.
But what it shows is the demand has been so relentless on the consumer with buying new and more streaming services. Some people have said, the hell with it. I'm going to go back to cable. I'm not paying $300. I'll pay $180, and I won't watch most of what's on cable, but I'm not, I mean, we've got inflation that's reportedly high. Unemployment numbers have ticked up. I mean, stuff matters. Egg prices were a topic a year ago. Want to know where I bet on sports during the holiday season? Hard Rock Bet, great app. Not just because it's the presenting sponsor of our show, but because they make it really easy to bet on my favorite teams or favorite players, leagues, couple of taps. So, especially with the brand new For You page, it's great. That recommends picks based on my favorites and who I like to bet on. So, open up the app, go to the My For You page, you find a bet you like, bam, bet's placed. Just in time for you to get back into wrapping presents. Sign up today and bet $5 on any game. If it wins, you also score $150 in bonus bets, a winning bet plus an extra $150 to bet with. So that's spreading holiday cheer. Plus, Hard Rock Bet fills your stockings with new promos daily. So whenever you're listening, just open the app, check out what you've got on any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app. Takes 90 seconds. Make your first deposit today.
Well, and I mean, so I have not cut the cord because I'm like, in my line of work, our line of work,
yeah, same.
The easiest barrier of entry to get the most things on my television is still my preferred method, and I'm going to pay for the services anyway. Like what I spend on cable, internet, and add-on services is exorbitant, but it's literally our job. So it's just like it's like paying for water. You know what I mean? Like it's like not even a thing I really think about, which I know is coming from a place of privilege, but for my friends, ton of people my age, most people my age, most of my best friends don't pay for cable, but I often will hear them or in the group chats or whatever, YouTube TV upped the price again. And they're not, these are guys who are traders, lawyers. It's not that they can't afford it, but they initially cut the cord to save the money. Like because they were tech savvy.
This is why Netflix entering the podcast space is good eventually for the consumer, because YouTube basically ran it.
Correct.
It owned a space, and that's never healthy for the consumer or the podcaster or the podcast company.
Right. I think it will get there. And I think at the beginning, the consumer's going to be like, wait, I've watched the last 500 episodes of Pardon My Take on YouTube. Now I have to do what? You know what I mean? Like it's a disruption. There will be a.
By the way, who doesn't have Netflix at this point?
No, I agree. I agree, but it still is a change in habit, right?
Sure.
Like for whatever, and I'm sure it'll be easy, and I'm sure it'll be heavily promoted on the app and all of those things.
I've always tried to give away as much of my content. Bill Simmons and I had this discussion once. Give it away for free. And a great example: Oprah was the biggest star on TV. She left broadcast TV and literally disappeared. Irrelevant. She got rich, so she chose wealth over relevance. At that point in her career, I think that was the right call.
I mean, she owns Hawaii. So yeah, it was probably the right call.
Howard Stern, most relevant radio guy in the world, went to Sirius, got rich, not nearly as relevant. Howard Stern would do it again. I've always had this theory. When 6 is the first number of your age, get out of relevance. You don't need to be more famous at the grocery store. Go with wealth. As your brand building in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you start getting late 50s and somebody comes up and says, I want to put you behind a paywall and pay you 7 times what you made in FM radio. You take the money. It's all the Bill Murray line, which is people say rich and famous. Try the rich. That'll do. That'll be, you'll find that will be just fine. So my take is, let's say, pardon my take, does lose some audience. If they're getting an additional $4 million each from the company, you take it. The dudes have busted their ass for, I mean, what do they do? A 3-hour podcast? They've been busting their ass for years.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, not to like pocket watch those guys, but they do well. I saw one clip of that. They were talking about like, and like it helps like pay the behind the scenes people more because the people that are in charge of video get to monetize all of that. It's, again, for the content creator, it's a no-brainer. Like, especially because you guys, like the people that like they're really paying to do this, like the big names they're hauling over there, you all already have your relevance. And in the podcast space, like the Breakfast Club made it in audio. Part of my take made it in audio, and none of the audio is changing. You could still listen on iTunes, Spotify.
That's right.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
And that's their larger audience.
Correct. So to them, they don't like, oh, selling out? Okay. I'll be like that scene on the bed in the hotel in the presidential suite in Dumb and Dumber, just like wiping my tears with $100 bills, like selling out. Like, yeah, for those guys probably got you would know better than me. They probably got millions of dollars. Like they'll be fine with that criticism in their mentions on X.
For the record, I did a rant today to lead my show, and I tend to have my lead on a star athlete or a star team, and I did it on the NBA Cup. And I said, people that complain a lot are rarely creators. Surround yourself with creators, not complainers.
Yeah.
And I said, the people that bitch about the NBA Cup, they don't watch the NBA. They don't. And it's like rural guy in Kentucky ripping California. It's like, bro, we're the 4th biggest economy in the world, and the weather's perfect. We're doing just fine. Californians are doing just fine. I know living with goats is your chosen, docile. I'm for that. And so when I hear guys ripping the NBA Cup, my take is, I watched the players. They gave a shit. They were into it last night. They were, I'll tell you this, the NBA players I watched last night were more into that than the COVID Orlando experience where the Lakers won the title and did sort of this weird, fake, inauthentic cheering, and there was no crowd. Like, I watched last night, I'm like, these guys are busting their butt. They're totally into this thing. So, and if it takes an extra check to get there, who cares? Like, coloring the court. Like, I like the swing of Adam Silver.
Yeah, undeniable. And I love that he unapologetically stole it from the Premier League. Like, he's like, it works in European soccer. I believe eventually it will work here. I'm like, that is like one of my favorite things a commissioner in sports has said in my lifetime. Because it's just so much where there's like, we're America and it's our game and like we have the best ideas, and it's like no, I think this thing works, and it shouldn't be that we have 30 teams and only one is happy at the end of the year. Let's do something else and let's
That's
try.
Right.
And so, like, how much should a fan care about something new? Reasonable minds can disagree on that. How much are the players doing it for the money? I'm actually a little skeptical of it. I actually think that it's like these guys are super competitive, and they're like, oh, there's a trophy being given out. Like, it's not like the crowning accomplishment of my career. It's not going to be the first story I tell my grandkids, but like, bragging rights. You feel it's like, who won it? Like, Giannis has won it. Like the Thunder were in the finals and then we're in the semis this year. It's like, oh,
when I was in local radio, I didn't get paid more for good ratings books, but I loved winning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you should have had a better contract. You didn't have ratings bonuses. What the hell's the matter with you? So you're a savvy business guy. You got to at least get a little extra 5K, a little extra 10K a quarter. What's going on? But no, like
it meant something to me.
Of course, you're competitive. But then the other thing that I think is, this is where we're at 3 years into it. Imagine how it's going to feel in 23 years. It's only going to get more competitive and more popular as it becomes more a part of the fabric of the sport and people get used to it. And so the debate over the banner is silly to me. Like, the NBA should mandate it. And it's like, the banner shouldn't be as big as a championship banner. You don't even need to have a night where you raise the banner. It could just be like, they won on a Tuesday. The next time the Knicks play a home game, it's just up. And it's just NBA. It's just NBA. The banner at the top says NBA Cup champion 2025. That's it. Don't need a big. You don't need to raise a banner. Like, you don't need to black it out. Call back your legends. Like, it's just like it should be. If the Lakers can figure it out with 17 championships, like, put it up, make it a league mandated thing so that it is celebrated, so that it is talked about, so that it is, because it's only going to get more popular. I saw Silver said he's like, we're looking at doing it at like prestigious college arenas.
Yes.
Cool. Like Allen Fieldhouse or Cameron Indoor, like Cameron Indoor, 9,000 people in an arena for an NBA game. That would be really cool. That's like, that is a good idea. And I've been to Allen Fieldhouse. Those people will go nuts for that game. Like that's a good idea. So I like that they try stuff, and I think it's only going to get more popular.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Netflix is basically Santa this year. 2 NFL games on Christmas Day streaming live. At 1 Eastern, Cowboys Commanders. Dallas is suddenly red hot. Could play big for the NFC playoff picture. Then at 4:30, you've got the Lions struggling against the Vikings. That's Midwest football playoff stakes. 2 teams battling it out for the number 1 seed last year. Must win for Detroit. Watching holiday football is a tradition the whole family can enjoy. Open some gifts, grab some food, settle in, and watch NFL Live on Netflix Christmas Day starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So, I love in sports when I can't figure out something, and then you have an aha moment. And I kind of had one over the last 2 weeks.
Oh.
So for years, the last several years, I could not figure out how Russell Wilson went from elite to maybe just a really good backup with no major injury, and he wasn't that old. And I kept saying, it was like literally a 2-year topic. I don't understand it. Great, really good. Is he a backup? Mm-hmm. But no, and then I watched Tua the last 2 weeks. And I went, wait, Tua's about his size. Oh, wait. And then I watched Kyler Murray. Arizona doesn't want to play him. And I've come to the conclusion that smaller quarterbacks could not withstand Justin Herbert's career. And that those hits are more punitive. And if you watch Tua on Monday night, he is afraid to get hit. That's not disputable. Like, that's been said by Gruden, multiple people out there. Bruce Arians, like, he didn't want to get hit. Kyler Murray, I was told by an NFL guy his rookie year who sacked him, he's like, bro, I know when somebody's scared when I hit them. And Russell Wilson didn't get hit a lot, but he got hit enough. And so I watched Tua go from Pro Bowl to good to can't play a lick. And it sort of unraveled the mystery of Russell Wilson, which is size matters at quarterback. Smaller quarterbacks age overnight. If they lose elusiveness, if they get hit too many times, they don't withstand the punishment. And frankly, I mean, ask yourself, if you got hit by football players who could bench twice your weight, and how many hits would Justin Herbert 6'6". I had dinner with their GM, the Chargers, last week. He goes, I think he's 6'7", actually. You guys are shortchanging him. 6'7's an NBA small forward. right? And he's 238. So I guess my point was I feel like the Tua story is the reality of small quarterbacks. They age overnight.
First of all, I hope the Chargers general manager knows how tall Justin Herbert is. He's like, I think he's 6'7". Like, you should know. If anyone in the world should know exactly how tall Justin Herbert is, it's the Chargers general manager. Yeah, I saw you ask Brady on the show about the height thing for quarterbacks, and I thought he gave a great answer. There are outliers, but that doesn't disprove the rule, right? It's like Kurt Warner succeeded and he was a grocery store bagger. That doesn't mean you should go to your ShopRite to find the next great quarterback, right? Drew Brees was 6 feet tall. He's 6 feet tall. And he got better as his career went on, and he was unbelievable. But he's also like one of the best throwers of the football ever. Like he's just crazy accurate, crazy smart. His highlights don't really make any sense. Like, is he throwing from his tiptoes? Yeah, he is. How long has he done that? For a decade. Like it's right. A weird, but it's like, well, but that doesn't mean that if I was a general manager, I'd be like, I want to find the next Drew Brees. Like it doesn't. There's one. There's not many guys that you would like long sustained career at that size. And so I think it's totally reasonable. The only thing I would say about Tua is, man, it's sad, but it's just true. Like, he's concussion prone, and he played in an era where we know as much as we do about concussions that he's clearly been told you can't get concussions, man. Like, because it had happened, like when he had the multiple concussions quick and he was having the fencing response and it was really like tough to watch. He got a concussion. And I don't remember the exact sequence of what happened, but they put him on IR immediately. And maybe he came out of the protocol sooner than that, but it got to the point where Mike McDaniel was like, well, you can't have a concussion and then play Tua the next week. It felt cruel and reckless and but then they can't win without Tua. Apparently no one else can run his offense. And so what do you do with that guy? You probably tell him, hey man, priority number 1, don't get a concussion. Don't get hit. Well, so then you combine small quarterback, not the strongest arm, playing to not get hit, and you get what we saw the other night where it's like, what? Is your career over?
Yes.
Right? Like
it's over.
His career's over because he's way too expensive and too accomplished and he's made too much money and he's like too young. Is he going to play for $6 million to be Patrick Mahomes' backup next year? Like, that would shock me.
In a strange way.
Not that it would be next year because of what his contract, but like two years from now, is Tua a $5 to $10 million a year backup for a great quarterback? That would shock me.
In a weird way, he got paid. He got his guaranteed money. He's set for life, and he's probably best served to not play anymore because of the concussions. In a sense, it played out. Not beautifully, but it played out, or ironically, the way it should have. He made a Pro Bowl. He got paid. There were concussions. He got better. He got bad quickly, and it's probably time to leave now, not stay for 4 years. Like most guys could drag it on. In a way, it all played out. Won a natty, drafted first round, made a Pro Bowl, got paid, concussion stuff, really bad, comes back, not the same player. That was always probably going to be his career, right? Once he had the first couple concussions, you're like, okay, it's like a big man in the NBA getting injured. They don't go 11 years not getting injured. That's just your body's not meant to be 7'3", right? Just not.
Can you imagine, just because you mentioned the dinner with the Chargers GM, like, I would have loved to know. Next time you have dinner with him, I'll fly out because Justin Herbert's probably my favorite non-Caleb Williams player in football. Like, I love watching Justin Herbert play football, have for forever. I can't imagine being in that draft room being like, God, I hope the Dolphins take Tua over Herbert. Like, what an insane decision when you're talking about like height. Like, one guy looks like Tua, the other guy looks like Justin Herbert, and like you're like, "Nah, I'm going with Tua." I just like it's a
Well,
mind-boggling
so
thing.
I have insight to that. Tom Telesco's a friend.
I would love to.
Tom,
I would love to hear as much about that as you're willing to share.
PCs powered by Snapdragon X Elite processors are made to go the distance. With blazing fast performance, next level efficiency, Snapdragon processors are built to tackle it all, from highlight reel editing to intense player research, making it all feel effortless. And with multi day battery life, you got true freedom, all right? Without being tethered to an outlet. So, from long video calls to all day fantasy drafts, your laptop stays ready so you can be at the top of your game. It's the kind of performance your lifestyle demands. So make sure your next PC is powered by Snapdragon. Learn more at snapdragon.com/laptops. Snapdragon, the heart of your PC. Battery life varies significantly based on devices, setup, usage, and other factors. Okay, Tom liked both. Tom was leaning Tua because he thought Herbert was mechanical. He was a little stiff.
Yeah,
Tom goes, I'm going to the Rose Bowl. Oregon's taking on Wisconsin. And Wisconsin had, if you recall, a great defense for about a 2-year stretch. They had
yeah.
the NFL player came back and was their D coordinator.
Okay.
So he went and watched him. And I said, what did you think? And he's like, yeah, you got to see Herbert in person. First of all, he's way bigger in person than on TV. And Tom said, secondly, he is really, really athletic. He said, Tom came to the conclusion that Mario Cristobal did not have a backup he believed in, so they played a very super conservative offense. Ohio State did this with C.J. Stroud. They never let him run. And then he played Georgia in his final game, and they let C.J. Stroud run, and he was running all over, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, what? C.J. Stroud's athletic. Justin Herbert, it was a very protect Justin. We don't have a backup we love. And Mario knew it was a really good team that could get to a Rose Bowl, and then you get to play Wisconsin, and you're like, okay, kid, do your magic. And Tom said you watched it and went, oh, okay, this is a different version of the guy. And by the way, John Snyder feels this way, the Seahawks GM. You got to go to the games. There's certain things you got to see. You got to be on the sideline before the game. You got to look at their confidence. You got to hear the ball when they throw it past you. Can you hear it? Like there's a lot of things that you
how they interact with teammates. Do they hang their head?
I watched Bo Nix. So I had a place for a while in Utah, and the Ducks were in town, and I had seen Washington, Oregon. I'd seen Bo Nix and Michael Penix. I went to the game because I was a Husky fan and a Duck fan, but I wanted to see these two quarterbacks. I thought I can kill two birds, one stone, go to Husky Stadium. And a few weeks later, they played Utah. I was literally at my house. I'm like, it's just down the road. I'm going to go watch the game. And I got, strangely, a great seat, 2 rows in, and I was right behind Bo Nix.
It wasn't strange. It wasn't strange. You're Colin Cowherd. I didn't think you were going to be in section 346. Like, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So
I don't know how, but I got a sideline pass, and then my ticket was on the 40-yard line in the second row. Like, I don't know how it happened. I have an idea, but go ahead.
So he's cut. Bo's cut when you see him. He is like, it reminded me of D Wade's body. You're like, that guy lives in a gym. The second thing was he was on the sideline and they were winning comfortably. I mean, he was a coach, bark, turn, player. And I was like, holy shit, that is a freaking, he was intense. And they were up by 3 touchdowns early. Bo Nix is, and I was just like, oh, wow. Okay, that's a first round. So I knew Sean Payton at the time. And I said, Sean, let me tell you a story about Bo Nix. I'm like, that guy's impressive in person. And Sean, he loved him just before he even saw him on film, and his personality. The dad was a coach. But I guess the whole point being is when you see Herbert in person, or you see some of these quarterbacks in person, to hear the ball, to see the interaction, it's different than you and I. That's why I go to 2 or 3 college games a year. I want to see people in person.
Yeah, I think that's what scouting is, right? You can't just watch the film. There's all sorts of soft factors. It's interesting, the Herbert mechanical thing. I think that's totally fair. Like he's the last couple of years, I think it translated to the pros. I think he was very, make the right read. Sometimes he would throw short of the sticks a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I think that like was a fair criticism of him. But for me, I also was just like, it was always like, man, you know what? That guy's not the problem. Like his rookie year, he's not even supposed to start. Tyrod Taylor has the mistake,
Needle in the lung.
the mistake punctured lung thing. He comes in and he plays in week 2, and at the end of the year has
Against Mahomes.
yeah, right, exactly. At the end of the year, he's got 31 touchdown passes, which is still a record for rookie players. And I'm like, unbelievable. He's had 3 head coaches. He's had, I think, 4 play callers. He's had disastrous injuries around him always. They just have terrible luck, terrible special teams until this year. Finally, Dicker is an unbelievable kicker. Like, he's obviously got a coach who knows how to win. Still horrifying injury luck, most offensive line combinations in the NFL. Like, I want to see 1 year, and I know everybody gets hurt, just like 1 year where Justin Herbert has just like above average luck around him. Because I'm just, to me, it's like you watch the NFL and people, well, you can't have him in your top 5 because he has 0 playoff wins. I'm like, watch me. I'm like,
Yeah.
Mahomes, Allen, this year, you want to say Stafford, fine. But like, if you think there are 5 quarterbacks in the world better than Justin Herbert, I just think you're insane. I think it's an insane thought. But it's just got 0 playoff wins.
And people will say interceptions, but right now, 7 of the leading 11 interception leaders in the NFL are Josh Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Dak, Bo Nix. It's like, guys, for the last 6 Super Bowls, the winning quarterback threw an interception in the Super Bowl. Like, you got to get over that.
Yeah, they and listen, he had 4 interceptions in that game against Houston last year. Obviously, in the playoff game, it's obviously not good. 2 of them were off his guys' hands, and his offensive line was decimated on the interior. And Houston was a great defense, and it was a bad game to have the worst game of his career, undeniable. Blew a 27-point lead to Jacksonville. I don't tend to think that's on the quarterback. Missed kick, other team, defense, all those things. But again, 0-2, you got to live with it. But he's going to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. He's going to be an MVP. Like I think he's too good not to.
One of the things that it's one of the things I always feel bad for athletes. I know they're rich.
Yeah, sure.
But I always feel bad for athletes that the harder you train in college, the greater you are, the worse franchise you go to. And I've thought about this Joe Burrow situation so many times. So in his, is it 6 or 7 years in the NFL, he's never had an O-line rated higher than 23rd best in the NFL. They don't make any big trades. Even their star players are almost forced to hold out. Zach Taylor, by any estimation, is okay. And even if he wasn't, they don't fire and pay off coaches early. Cincinnati's people don't understand. Los Angeles doesn't have a bigger economy than Cincinnati. It's hundreds of times bigger. The game day revenue Stan Kroenke makes at SoFi in a Sunday is probably almost a season worth of game day revenue. Maybe 2 SoFi games is an entire season worth of home games for Cincinnati. So I feel Joe Burrow and Carson Palmer already ditched this organization. What do you do? Because I think what we're seeing is Joe Burrow knowing he's trapped. And there's been now counting 3 press conferences when he's been asked about this by Cincinnati media. Danny, they are a therapist. He's on the couch. He's like, I think about a lot of things. I think we are watching the greatest American football player who's in an awful situation in Cincinnati. And I feel I know he's rich. I feel horrible for him.
Yeah, so he, obviously he was asked about that this week, and he said it has nothing to do with Cincinnati. Hard to believe him, because
somebody said, "Do you think about leaving or something?" Do you think? And he said, "I think about a lot of things." And I thought that was the best answer.
Yeah.
Where I hate it here, but I don't want to throw my teammates or my coaches under the bus.
So I think it's hard. We do it all of the time, and so sometimes when these things get clipped, I'm like, is the player gonna see it? Who the hell does this guy think he is to psychoanalyze me? So I know your people won't do that, but just we're having a good conversation. I think people will listen to it in its entirety and take it there. Joe Burrow strikes me as someone, and he has said things around this. He strikes me as someone who loves football, but does not love the things that come with football. Like you don't see Joe Burrow in a lot of commercials.
Yeah.
I don't think Joe Burrow likes fame, which is totally understandable. You just said rich and famous, try rich. It's probably enough for you, right? But Patrick Mahomes clearly is okay with being famous. Clearly. He's in a ton of commercials. He sits courtside at games. He shows up at celebrity golf tournaments. Like, he's very comfortable being famous. Josh Allen, same thing. Caleb Williams, same thing. Justin Herbert, a very introverted guy, does not like it, is dating a model, influencer, singer, song, whatever Madison Beer is, and she's all of those things according to her Wikipedia page. He's clearly like getting used to it or trying to because of the woman that he.
When I had Justin Herbert on this year, the
Yeah.
Chargers said they got calls from even their own employees going, Justin's on television? Justin hides from the media. And he's like, well, he's listened to Colin when he was a kid, blah, blah, blah. But the point being is Justin literally, it's not anti-media. He's embarrassed by being front and center above his teammates. He's that kind of guy.
Sure. Okay. And so that's like a football thing, but Joe Burrow, he did that the Netflix quarterback thing, and I watched it, and he's interesting. He's thoughtful. He's very close with his parents. He's genuinely into fashion. He tried to buy the Batmobile, then he had to return it. He likes. I think he likes Pokemon cards and video games. He seems like a kid, like a big kid who got rich and he's having to be really good at football. And then you remember the story about his home invasion? He's one of those athletes who they were on the road, house got broken into, what got stolen kind of got reported, who was there, got reported, and he talked about it being like felt very violated, huge invasion of privacy, and like both like the literal invasion of his home, but then also the reporting around it and what was revealed about his personal life and who he was dating that he didn't want revealed. Again, literally no insight into it, but just how he handled that press conference after the burglary at his house. I wonder how much that's sticking with him. Of just like, man, is this? I'm injured. I've been injured multiple times, so I'm spending a lot more time rehabbing than playing football. I'm losing. We are losing, and the cost of this is coming at like a real expense to like,
especially he's in Ohio. You can hide in LA. You can't hide when you're an Ohio boy playing for the Bengals.
Right, because I've seen some people be like, oh, he doesn't like fame. Look at how he dresses. I'm like, I don't know. The Netflix thing made it seem like he was just like genuinely interested in fashion. Like, which is a totally reasonable thing for people to be interested in, and you have money and access to what. So like, I think he hates fame. He hates being injured. Obviously, he hates losing, and so my guess is where he's like, I don't dislike Cincinnati. I've been in a Super Bowl. I've played for another Super Bowl. I've won here, but is Cincinnati doing all the things on the margins to allow him to win? Like if they were a small market team that operated like the Green Bay Packers or the Kansas City Chiefs or whatever, like I think he would be totally fine with it. And
this
so
was Tom Brady was like this in New England. Tom was taking pay cuts and going, where are all my receivers?
Right.
So Joe Burrow's like, I'm doing all these rehabs because you can't protect me.
Right.
So I think Brady felt like at the end he chose Tampa because of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I'll bring Gronk. Like they had three tight ends. I think Joe and Tom are like, and Tom won all the Super Bowls, but at the end Tom was frustrated. Well, I'm not respected. We have no wide receivers that can get open. I'm taking pay cuts. Where are the playmakers around me? And I think Joe's like, you won't protect me. I'm the car. That's the insurance policy. You won't pay the policy known as the O-line.
Yeah, and so I just wonder. I obviously hope Joe Burrow doesn't retire. Like and Diana Rossini reported that people are taking that too far with the Andrew Luck comparisons. I hope she's right. But if he's fallen out of love with football because of the physical toll it's taken on his body and the toll it's taken on his like mental health and like the price of fame, then anything's possible, you know? But I would say also, just like, so like that's one thought. Other thought, if you're right and it's man, he's tired of the Bengals, what do you think? 22 to 26 teams should call Cincinnati this offseason and say, our quarterback plus 2 first-round picks for Joe Burrow, right? Like, he's unbelievable. He's in his prime. His contract is relatively reasonable. Like, basically every team in the league should at least make that phone call. If he loves football and hates Cincinnati, everyone should try to get Joe Burrow to demand a trade to get out.
Well, I've said this before. The New York Giants right now would have the number 1 pick. You trade Jackson Dart. You take the 6'5.5" Fernando Mendoza. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were going to say Joe Burrow. Okay. I thought you were going to say Joe
Burrow.
Burrow.
I'm saying
I was like, yeah, no shit.
And that's a college quarterback that's unproven. Burrow, here, if Burrow had no injuries, 3 first-round picks, 2 2s, 1 3, and all I need back is a backup. All I need back is a player. I mean, I think Nick Wright once said this, like, we have undervalued how much a great quarterback is worth. If Mendoza is as good as I think he's going to be.
Yeah.
Is 4 first-round picks unreasonable?
No, you mentioned Nick again, and obviously he's a connective tissue between the two of us, but maybe my favorite Nick take ever was he said I would trade for Aaron Rodgers, and I know it's against league rules because it's capped on the number of picks you can take, but I would trade Aaron Rodgers, and the trade would be you can have all of my first round picks for as long as he's on the team. Like if he's on my team for 9 years, it's 9 first round picks. If he's on my team for 6 years, it's 6 first round picks. I'm like that is a great take. It's just it's beautifully constructed.
Well, and it's like what's funny is so the Packers have lost Tucker Kraft, great. Micah Parsons, great. Kenny Clark, run stopper, and Christian Watson, their deep ball specialist.
Well, and Zach Tom, their right tackle, he had the knee injury. Yeah, he's really good too.
And yet this weekend they're favored over Chicago. If all of those players were still there and Jordan Love was out, you'd be like Bears in a blowout. Like So when Nick Wright's take is that the value is it's the old commercial. It's priceless. Is that if Jordan Love got hurt and you still had Micah and Kraft and Watson and Kenny Clark, season's over.
Yeah, I mean, right. We see it, and listen, you and I gamble enough. You see it in the point spread. Sometimes when Kyler's out and Jacoby Brissett's in, there's no movement in the point spread. Other times when Lamar Jackson's out, it's like, oh, that's 10 points, like on the point spread. Like, oh, okay, now I know the difference between Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. It's significant. You know what I mean? Like, and so there are some of those guys that are true crazy difference making level players, and you do anything to get them.
Yeah, I think Mendoza is about as good a prospect as you're going to get. I mean, humble. Oh, wow. I think he's so. And the other thing is, I talked to an NFL coach about him. I said, this person may need a quarterback, but won't be able to get Mendoza, who will go number 1. He won't be able to move up. And he said, he's also such an easy player to scout because Indiana runs pro concepts. So you will know, watching his college film, the throws he can and cannot make. He goes, he's such an easy, and this is a very good coach who may draft a quarterback in the next 2 or 3 years, may not. It's not urgent. But his take was, easy guy to comp. He said these Big 12 guys like Mahomes, you knew he was talented, but you're like, what in the hell is that offense?
Yeah, sure.
He goes, Mendoza's like, they run pros concepts. You will know. He goes, it's one day of watching film. You're like, oh yeah, you can make that throw, throw the audible out of that throw. He goes, he's the easiest guy to scout ever.
What So I haven't done the full deep dive on him yet. You've watched more of him, so I'll defer to you for now on it. But how would you comp that to JJ McCarthy?
Well, he's a bigger athlete. He's
But I
got a
no, no. But I'm
better
saying,
arm.
but wasn't the thing on McCarthy like, yeah, he doesn't have the most pass attempts, but pro style, winner, great leader,
Well,
people love him, all of those things.
well, he also had Jim Harbaugh, the best offensive line in the country, the best defense in the country, and they ran a half with no throws. He was never really asked. They won almost every game in a blowout. Now, Indiana this year has been blowing people out like Illinois, but I think remember Mendoza was at Cal, and then
Yeah.
Mendoza goes to Indiana, and so I think the feeling on Mendoza is compared to JJ McCarthy, better traits, better arm, bigger guy, incredibly humble, neat story. His parents, neat, easy to embrace story. And I think Michigan was not as pro as you think. It was very run heavy. Indiana, I mean, that Ohio State and that Penn State, those games, like, guys, we need to score. We need to sling it. This last drive means everything. And you're going up against Ohio State secondary. They got Caleb Downs is going to be the first 7 players
Yeah,
taken.
he's ridiculous.
So you're watching pro concepts, pro guy. Indiana's got some pro players. Ohio State secondary's all pro players. It's like that's easy film to digest and go, that's a great player. I felt like in the JJ McCarthy, when people asked about JJ McCarthy, they gave my least favorite answer. He's a winner.
Right.
Well, what does that mean? I mean, every Florida quarterback Spurrier had was a winner because it was Steve Spurrier, and he was 8 years ahead of everybody else in the SEC offensively. So I think Mendoza's one of the better, easier guys to preview we've seen.
That's really interesting. I'm trying to think like Trevor Lawrence as a prospect was like, okay, like make all the throws, win.
But Clemson didn't
What's
run.
the part?
Clemson's it's more college than pro.
Yeah,
Dabo's very much a college coach.
no kidding.
Whereas Cignetti, if he was 10 years younger, could get an NFL job. But he's a college guy. He loves college, and he's in his 60s. If Cignetti was 52, he'd get NFL calls. Absolutely. I think, what I think he is? He's a much better version of Brian Kelly. Less blustery.
I'm going back through in my head of like the best college prospects that like Burrow at LSU the year before, right before Trevor. I mean, probably
Hard thing for him. Burrow was average as a junior, and the LSU team may have been the most talented college team in the history of the sport. So you're like,
but I was just going to say,
yeah, everybody liked him, but it was like, yeah, his receivers are better than the Patriots now in college, right?
Right. So my wife went to Clemson, and so she got me into Clemson football, like starting in Deshaun Watson's freshman year, and for basically for the Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence era, the best era of Clemson football ever. We watched basically every game, and I'd say the worst sports bet I've ever made is Clemson LSU in the title game. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to bet against Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire in a dome in Louisiana. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. They scored on like every possession. It was like against Clemson for the title. It's like, oh,
Do you ever?
they're really good. Like I was maybe a little bit of a homer on that one.
When I lose, last week I was 2-3, but I really felt I was on the right side of Carolina. I thought I had a touchdown lead, 2 minutes left. I thought it was bad coaching by Dave Canales. Let's give on a 4th down the ball to the least skilled offensive player we have, the fullback.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, Bryce Young runs well. He's clever. He's creative. He's slippery. Give him the ball. Let him try to get a yard.
Yeah.
So, but do you ever make a bet? You'd say it's a worse bet. About 3 or 4 times a year, I'll make a bet, and I know instantly, oh, I didn't think about that. Like, for instance, Miami beat the Jets, and the thing was over in 4 minutes. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Mike McDaniel is coaching for his job. His staff is coaching for their jobs. You could tell their game plan was clever. They were into it. They had huge juice and energy. It's like they looked like they were in a playoff game. And the Jets are like, well, we need a better draft pick. Nobody's getting fired here. You,
Yeah.
so you, that's
All,
a
all
game
the,
I knew
yeah.
8 minutes. I'm like, I just picked the wrong. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Of course, all the time. I thought you were going to go the other way because this is the one that I do all the time that Nick hates. Well, I lost that bet, but I was on the right side. Like kind
I
of what
say
you were
that all
just
the
talking
time.
all the time. I'm happy. Not happy, but I'm fine to lose that bet because I know I handicapped it correct. Bad luck.
Carolina was the pick. Revenge
Right.
spot, extra rest.
Yeah.
They were the pick last week.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I do with gambling that I need to get over, but I hold grudges. I love survivor contests. I've never won one. I could probably buy like a BMW with every dollar I've lost in Survivor over my career doing it. I could probably have a much nicer car than I do right now. Or at least lease one. But this year, me and a couple of buddies who gamble together, we did an entry in like a super survivor where it's a $5,000 entry into a survivor contest.
Wow.
Yeah, massive size. Like, literally 7-figure payout type thing, not a ton of entrants. And so like it's me and a couple of guys, real sharp people, huge NFL guys, gamblers, money people, numbers, all the thing. And I obviously have a percentage of it. And we got eliminated on the Falcons against the Panthers. This was taking Atlanta. This was early in the year before we knew that Carolina was actually legit this year. And Carolina won 30-0. And we're on Atlanta. And I'm like, I made a pledge. It was like, I'll never bet Atlanta the rest of the year. I'm like, I won't do it. I'm like, I refuse. They haven't been in a show pick. They haven't been in other Survivor contests. I will bet against them, and then when I bet against them, they cover. I'm like, the Atlanta Falcons this year are my least favorite team in football by so far because of that Survivor pick. And I know that I shouldn't be admitting that bias, but I'm like, I hold a grudge against you. I don't like them.
This has been a running joke on my show for years. The Atlanta Falcons are an ATM machine. The opposite. I only give money to it. They're the Bermuda Triangle.
It's the IRS of teams. Yeah.
Like all I do is get audited and write checks. I could not tell you the last time I won on the Atlanta Falcons. They're the weirdest franchise in the league. Weird.
It's insane. Like
then they go on Thursday and beat Baker Mayfield in Tampa.
Yeah, of course they did. And Kyle Pitts had
his best game as a pro.
Best game as a pro by far in week 1 of the fantasy playoffs, 3 weeks before it's contract time for Kyle Pitts. Like, well, what do you do with that? Because he looked like a combination of like Ozzie Newsome and Tony Gonzalez, and he was like, God. "Oh, okay, well, I guess you're awesome, but maybe you're not." I have no idea what the hell's going on. Yeah, all I will say though, Bijan is great. Bijan's not tough to scout. He is Falcons proof. It's like, oh, that guy is one of the best players in the NFL. Like I know the NFL top 100 list is super flawed and biased and all of that. I'm like, but that guy, if he showed up in the top 10 on next year's list, I'd be like, yeah, I got no problem with it. He is.
Yeah, I had a GM tell me he said he's the cleanest running back he's taken since LaDainian Tomlinson. He said doesn't fumble, great kid, great locker room, can catch, can block, can run. It seemed like he got into a pissing match with Arthur Smith his rookie year. Like he just stopped using him. But no, Bijan's great. And for a long time there was don't take a running back in the first round. And there's been some misses. But Christian McCaffrey and Bijan and Saquon and Zeke, it's like this kid for Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. Yeah. That's a first round player.
Yeah, and I think I think it's gone a little bit. The names that we just mentioned, Jahmyr Gibbs included, like are reasons to do it, but also like because the rookie, when it's not the number 1 pick's not getting $60 million anymore, like Jamarcus Russell, like it got slotted down. That any player who hits on a first round contract is a huge value. Now, a quarterback that hits is more valuable. A left tackle who hits is more valuable relative to like what they get paid. But you get the 5th-year option on first-round picks, and you don't want running backs in their late 20s, early 30s traditionally. Some guys are starting to break that mold, but running back's a young man's game. So especially at the end of the first round when the contract's really cheap. Like we saw the Chiefs do it with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Didn't work out, but I totally supported the logic. I think the Patriots did it with Sony Michel one year. Again, didn't really work out, but like end of the first round, talented running back who you can execute the 5th-year option on if he works out. And so you have him for his age like 23 through 28 season. I actually think that's like a really sharp franchise move to make.
I agree. Danny Parkins, as always, buddy. Great chatting.
Yeah, this was fun. Our hours fly by, man. We'll do it again.